This is a fun game, isn't it?
No, and I think Heinkens can pitch this as, look, you know, we've taken on one, if not the best teams in Europe at the moment, and we've beaten them quite comfortably. That's the way they'll pitch it. I would kind of, as enjoyable as it was, I just felt the edge wasn't there. You saw the clip before the game started there, everybody was sort of hugging.
Everyone does that these days,
Yeah,
Steve Nicol tells me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's too much. And it just felt like a game that PSG kind of knew that they weren't too bothered about winning the game. That's the feeling I got. Maybe when it got to 2-0, they kicked on a little bit and thought, let's not do anything stupid. But I always got the feeling that this was a game where they just wanted to get in and get out.
Do you get the same vibe, Brian, that maybe we shouldn't read too much into this?
Yeah, I do. I think they both teams probably felt that they could score goals. I mean, in that scenario, you know that Bayern's probably not going to advance, considering how many goals they needed to win by. I'd add in the fact that you're starting to see a Bayern team that is coming alive in the sense of having a better understanding how they're going to play. Their wide play in the last couple games has been exceptionally good. I think Kingsley Coman, who for the large part of the season and the end of last season sort of disappeared. Sure. These past two games, he's looked exceptionally dangerous. And with you add in the fact that last little bit, that extra bit at the final third, the last ball, you have a player that seems to be finding great form.
You turn that around to PSG and you have to ask, okay, Unai Emery, now we're going to see. We're going to see what the managing is all about, because everything has been great so far, and the only controversy that we've had is who takes a penalty case, Cavani or Neymar. But now we have a little bit of something here, because you lose to Strasbourg in the weekend, you lose to Bayern Munich, now it's 2 losses in a row. Now is when Unai Emery has to sort of show the work that he has done with this team, not only on the field, but in the locker room, and say, okay, look, there are going to be patches in the season when perhaps we're not going to play well, but you have to find ways to keep the momentum going. And as we go towards the end of the season, and to the end of the year, I should say, then PSG has been very good, but they got to close it out. And they got to find a better way of playing, a better level of playing, a level of playing that allows them to win this sort of games that, as meaningless as it might have been in terms of a perception from us, it's still a game that you should win if you're a real contender in Champions League.
Roma then, finishing top of the group, Chelsea second. I remember when this...
okay, just as we said, Roma were going to finish top.
I just seem to remember when the group draws was made. I said, this is a tough draw for Chelsea, and you went, what are you talking about? Roma, who are they?
All right, so every time that happens, you're going to get something out, a stick to beat me with. Shall we go back to the Barcelona end of an era conversation?
Oh, well, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago, I think that was the summer.
Well, but this was sooner.
Well, did you expect Atletico Madrid to cave in this group the way they did?
Of course not. No, definitely not.
I rest my case.
But I suppose the case that you were making that Roma weren't very good, so I then would counteract your
Roma got stronger.
Case back on.
Roma got stronger as the competition went on, and domestically.
Yes.
They got stronger. At the start of when it all started, when the Serie A started and the Champions League stages started, I did not think Roma would get out the group. Clearly. Now, have you got that out of your system?
Well, probably not. When this draw was made, I think pretty much everyone thought Atleti would go through it. It would then be all about Chelsea or Roma. Yet Atleti have capitulated, and then some, really. It's all about those awful results against Qarabag.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? It's not about Chelsea and Roma as far as Atletico Madrid are concerned. It's about Qarabag. They picked up more points against Roma than they did against Qarabag. Those 2 draws, which they really should have won both games. They were the better side, but didn't play well in either of them. They should have beaten Roma in Rome as well. Missed lots and lots of chances, and they're on their way out. And you know, this is a huge failure from Atletico Madrid's point of view, given how good they've been in the competition over the last few years. Given the fact, of course, they've reached 2 finals, a semi-final, a quarter-final. Simeone was tonight trying to talk about this as another challenge, something to look forward to, the chance to go into the Europa League, but he knows that this is a big failure. Not so much, or at least not only because they're out, but because they're out by not being able to beat Qarabag.
This is the potential draw for the Champions League for the knockout stages. In the past, it's all about finishing first, trying to give yourself a preferable draw to avoid the big boys. But the way in which it's played out, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Juventus and probably Real Madrid as well, all in pot 2. you can make an argument here, you know, Real Madrid definitely in pot 2, that it's actually better to be in that pot than pot 1.
Well, Tottenham, who were a shambles last year in the Champions League, go and win their group.
Yeah.
I mean, Madrid and Dortmund in there, and now they could. Now look who they could face. I mean, that's just the way it's turned out.
Exactly. You look at it as well. United, Liverpool, City, Spurs could be facing Real Madrid, Bayern, Juventus.
And when you look at it and you see Manchester City and then you look to the right and you see Bayern Munich, you think, how many times have they met in Champions League? And the fact that Manchester City finishes first, they still might actually get Bayern Munich. It's a scary thought.
Well, and it's the thought of Guardiola going back to Bayern Munich and that storyline. But you just find a lot of quality in that pot too.
Yep.
And a lot of quality of teams in that pot too that are hoping for what? Besiktas.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
They're cheering hard for Besiktas. Even if it's Liverpool or Sevilla, you still take Liverpool or Sevilla other than matching up with PSG, Barcelona, or whoever else. I find that pot too is where you want to be quite honest.
But this is great.
Yeah?
I mean, that's not what it's about, because I know it's just panned out this way and it doesn't normally. But if you look at that, there's hardly an easy pathway to the quarterfinals. Once the knockout 16, apart from the fact you can't play anybody from your own country in this knockout stage, you struggle to see an easy pathway for teams. So if you're going to be in the quarters and the semis, you're probably not going to have knocked out so-called weaker teams on the way to get there. You're going to have to probably beat one of the big boys in the round of 16. That's great.
Sid's still with us. Sid, this could be some draw, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could. Although this was repeated last year, remember, then going into the final Champions League group game in Real Madrid's group, it was Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. And we were in that strange position in which it suited them. It suited Dortmund to come first and it suited Real Madrid to come second. So they got a 2-2 draw, which, of course, facilitated that. And the reason for that, of course, is this rule where you can't play a club from your own country. So Dortmund knew it was better for them to be first, and Madrid knew it was better for them to be second because of who they would and wouldn't avoid. And, of course, Real Madrid went on to win the competition despite finishing second in the group. I suppose when you look at it as well, though, I mean, we basically named, what was it, 4 really strong teams who are second-place teams in the group so far in terms of the draw. But when one of those is Juventus, well, it was going to be Juventus or Barcelona anyway, and one of those is Bayern. Well, it was going to be Bayern or PSG. So really it's just 2 teams in an unusual position or an unexpected position that's created what's turned out to be a really quite a nice, even spread. And you're right, everyone wants Besiktas, don't they?
It is the worst start to the season for Real Madrid since 2008. They find themselves 8 points off the pace of Barca at the top of La Liga. Sid Lowe with us. Sid, what's going wrong?
Well, let's start with Zidane's version of events, shall we? Zidane has said after almost every game in which they've dropped points, I'm very happy with how we've played. I can't reproach the players anything. We created lots of chances. The ball just doesn't want to go in. Now, he then said after one game not so long ago, he said, you know, I've been happy with all of these games, except perhaps the Girona game. But then if you go back and listen to what he said after the Girona game, he said exactly the same thing then as well. It's true what he says, that you can go through each of these matches, apart from Girona away, and say Madrid probably should have won the game. Madrid probably created enough chances, even maybe half chances, to have won the game. And it's true that they're missing those opportunities and the ball isn't going in. But I think that the fact that this is repeating itself, this thing is going over and over again, and I also think if you look at the games, there's more to it than that. They're not as fluid as they were. They don't have quite the same ideas. Admittedly, I think for a lot of last season, they weren't always that fluid either. They're quite basic in what they do. For example, this weekend against Athletic Bilbao, they go away to San Mamés and they put 31 crosses into the box. Now, if there's one thing that Athletic Bilbao know how to do, it's stand there and head the ball away. And yet Real Madrid kept on doing this. And I think at times there's a lack of imagination, a lack of clarity in what they do. And they're just not playing that well. But I also, for what it's worth, think Zidane's right up to a point in that they're not that far away from being a very good side.
I feel like we've been here for a while now, Sid.
Exactly. Exactly, this is why.
Just a couple of days ago. You look at the quality of the players on the pitch, and most of them were playing in that Champions League final where they were brilliant. Absolutely swept aside Juventus. Yet they look nothing like that side throughout the last few weeks in La Liga. We're waiting for that spark, waiting for them to turn up, waiting to thrash someone, and it just isn't happening.
And that's exactly why, Dan, as you say, we've been having this conversation again and again. This is exactly why, while you can take each game and listen to Zidane and say, you're right, the ball's just not going in. But because this is being repeated, there is more to it than that. there's a lack of speed about the way they move the ball. Kroos and Modric haven't looked quite as fit as in previous years. Isco, I think, is having to come too deep to do too much. I think Cristiano Ronaldo's form, which was questionable for a lot of last season, but those last 3 months he was fantastic. He hasn't refound that yet. Obviously, you've got Gareth Bale injured. I think there's a lack of speed through the team as well. I think there's a lack of pace, there's a lack of incision in what they're doing, and there's just something about it which is kind of not quite there. But then, as you say, look at the players, look at who was there last year, look at what they did last year, and you can't help feeling this isn't going to take very much for things to start falling back into place again.
Meanwhile, said Sergio Ramos, #1 in our FC poll when it came to centre-backs in soccer. Sent off for the 19th time, a record in La Liga. Does that affect his legacy?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just another record for him, isn't it? I mean, look, it's very curious, this, by the way. He's been sent off 19 times in La Liga, 24 times in all with Real Madrid. In 50 games for Sevilla, no sendings off. In 149 games for Spain, no sendings off. And yet, if you listen to non-Real Madrid fans, they will say, well, and he should have got even more. And if he'd been playing for a smaller club, he'd have been sent off more often. There's been plenty of times when he's deserved red cards and not got them. I don't think it changes his legacy, to be honest. I think it's a record that most people will say, well, kind of that's Sergio. And everyone knows that Ramos is a player that, as Stevie often says, maybe up until Christmas, you can't rely on him. But as Stevie won't often say, when you get to spring, when you get to when it really matters, you always can.
Welcome into extra time. Is there a chance Mourinho can win the Champions League with United this season? He's done it with underdogs 2 times before. Oh.
Don't think so.
No?
Don't think so.
Better teams ahead of him.
Not just a couple, there's a few teams.
Yeah?
The day they may be good enough, but over 2 legs, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You don't have a bit of an argument. We've got lots of questions today, Brian. Don't worry.
I don't think it's possible.
OK. All right. Next question.
To Man United.
Here he comes.
Is he still here?
To Man United. Well, yeah, I'm still here. Do Man United really count as underdogs?
Well, I think this is tongue-in-cheek, isn't it, Sid? A little bit.
Well, I think a team that finishes...
I don't know, is it?
Well, I think a team...
That's how I read it.
I think a team that finishes 6th in the league domestically last year, and since the Sir Alex Ferguson era finished and has struggled a little bit, is definitely an underdog.
But I suppose you spent $700 billion, does that count as an underdog?
I bet that guy who wrote it, or a girl who wrote that, doesn't think they're that much of an underdog. No? I bet he's hoping someone's going to say it does. But I'm hoping.
Read between the lines, Dan.
We're going to say it is possible.
Let's talk Europa League, shall we? Oh. Can Arsenal in the Europa League sit despite Atletico Madrid being in the competition?
You've got to imagine, haven't you, Arsenal fans tonight with their heads in their hands, thinking, oh, God, don't give us them, please. Yeah. Atletico Madrid, as we've been talking about, the last time they were knocked out of the Champions League group, they went into the Europa League, they won it. They're a side that over 2 legs, they're going to be very, very frightening for anyone. And of course, Arsenal can win it, yeah. But I think they're probably going to hope that someone cleans Atletico from their path for them.
Is this the Atletico Madrid team that it's all over for? I know it's Europa League, but all of a sudden there's been a resurgence.
What do you mean?
Like somebody's breathed life into them.
What's the Europa League?
Because you had them dead.
What, the Europa
Dead
League?
as a dodo.
What sort of standard is the Europa League?
Well, you tell me.
Not a very good one. Why do you have Thursdays off?
Europa League. No, it's not really.
Valid point. Valid point.
Actually, I just thought I'd throw that in. It's not actually true.
Valid point.
I have Thursdays off.
Yes.
Because that's when my boss, and your boss, and your boss, and your boss, that's when he schedules me to be off. I don't ask for it off.
No.
But I'm thankful. And what I do then, it gives me time to sit at home with multiple devices watching the Europa League.
Right.
It's great. Pinocchio.
Well, I think we got it.
I need to do that anyway.
Thanks for telling us it was Pinocchio.
I've got to explain things to you.
Well, not really. I think I got what that meant.
Well, you got that, but that was one of the few things you do get.
Will you watch Liga MX final? It's the most passionate derby in the country. Monterrey against Tigres.
And what country?
For the first time ever in Mexico.
Well, we're not in Mexico.
But that's still. Oh my goodness, we're not in Spain, but we watch the Clásico.
Well, why have we not talked about it all show?
Anyway, for the first time ever in a final.
Yeah, Clásico Regio. So it's a big rivalry in
Clásico
Mexico.
Hey,
Oh,
just
nicely
practice
done.
your Spanish.
That was beautiful.
Good,
And-
Take that, Sid. Sid says my Spanish is awful.
Well, you know what? Your Spanish is not that great.
Do you watch these kind of things, Al? You probably watch them, do you?
Yeah.
So you watch it, Herco watch it, people that work, you know, people that have either are from that part of the world or have played there. Do you watch this kind of stuff?
I have to say, I haven't.
No, what? So it's like, it's choice, isn't it?
Of course, it's a choice.
Do you watch it?
Yes, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch it for work.
Pinocchio.
Of course.
Pinocchio.
What's the name of it
You
again?
watch it.
Clásico Regio.
Yes!
You watch it for work. You will not. You read a report. You read a report on it. That's what you do.
Sid, give us the name of your book, which is now going to be in paperback. Just for those people who are looking for the perfect Christmas gift.
Yeah. This is really going to excite people. Catholicism, War, and the Foundation of Francoism in Spain.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, in English now. What?
I can't even say that. Possible.
Okay, final question. Craig Burley, what is your favourite holiday movie and why?
Holiday movie?
Yes. You have a favourite Hollywood? Are you a Love Actually man?
What do you mean
Holiday. It's a holiday.
So Christmas movie. So Christmas movie.
A Christmas movie?
Yes.
I don't watch Christmas movies.
No, that's a surprise.
I watched a documentary last year on my iPad, Christmas Day. That's how exciting it was. I won't tell you what it was about.
Oh, good. Die Hard?
No, it was a documentary. It was about,
Die Hard is a
it was
Christmas
a
movie.
political.
I don't care about your documentary.
Well, I'm telling you what I watched.
Wait,
It was
it's
a
questionable that Die Hard is a
Well,
Christmas
obviously that
movie.
is a debate,
Yeah.
isn't it?
About Christmas Vacation.
I like Elf.
Elf is
A good
But see,
one.
the kids have all
Home
grown up.
Alone.
See,
Like Home Alone as
it's
well.
like, well, because you normally, when when the kids are younger, you kind of watch stuff because the
Yeah.
kids.
Now you watch documentaries on.
My children are a
Is
little older.
Die Hard not a documentary, by the way?
Oh, I don't believe so.
I thought that was a real story. I'm absolutely devastated to discover that it's not a documentary. The answer, of course, anyway, the answer is Trading Places.
Trading Place is a good Christmas film. Yeah.
Not better than Clark Griswold.
No?
Christmas Vacation.
Brian, what have you got?
Yeah, I'd go with same thing Ali was saying. I think Christmas Vacation's probably my favorite. The others, Polar Express with the kids is
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's a
yeah.
good one.
Home Alone?
Home Alone.
Yeah.
Toy Story, is that Christmas?
Christmas.
No, it's not Christmas.
Christmas Story is a lot of fun also.
Toy Story.
Christmas Story is very good. You'll shoot your
why
eye
can't it
out.
be Christmas?
Famous line.
You can put
Because
it on.
it wouldn't be in
Trains,
that
Planes, and
genre, would it?
Automobiles, of course.
Yes.
John Candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that your hand?
Sorry?
No, my
Those are
hand's between two pillows.
I'm lost.
John Candy's in Home Alone.
That's
by the way.
it.
Is
I
it not?
appreciate it.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, they're playing the
I'm not
polka
gonna- I'm not
group.
going to
Come
say
on
it.
now.
Probably best. Good. ESPN FC is back tomorrow. Steve Nicol and his brand new Christmas tree.
Hey!
Shall we get a picture of this?
Yes.
6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News.